From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Gallatin Rest Home's administrator makes a plea for the community's help. I'm Gabby Crevitt, and I'll have that full story coming up.
Also coming up later, we're going to take a look at the homemade gifts versus
all
gifts.
fun.
That's
Every
gonna be a fun
mother's
thing.
favorite.
That's fun. Yeah.
Or so they say.
There you go. My mom saved all of ours.
Oh, my mom still has mine.
Yeah. I don't know why.
It's a problem.
6:29 on this Monday. Chet Lehman, Holly Brownlee,
That
Matt
gifted
Elwell with you
hand
here.
of Chet Lehman.
Oh
and
yeah, the
finger
artistic
painting
skills are
101.
overwhelming.
Yes.
Or underwhelming. I never know which word to
It's
use
whelming.
there. It's whelming.
Yeah.
Like it.
Temperatures this morning down into the single digits and teens for most of us. 39 in Livingston. Very strong winds in Livingston. We're going to have some strong crosswinds along I-90 again for the afternoon. We're going to see a few clouds trying to roll into our skies too through the afternoon. Temperatures are going to be fabulous, above average into the 40s. We will see more clouds as you move later into the day, but our trend may actually include a little snow. I'm going to break that down for you coming up on the Billion Auto Group Weather Patio in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Matt. It is now 6:30 on this Monday. Nursing homes and assisted living facilities in Gallatin County have been working extra hard to make sure residents and staff stay healthy during this COVID-19 pandemic.
MTN's Gabby Crevitt has the details on how one rest home director is asking for everybody's help during this time.
It really goes without saying, people in nursing homes and assisted living facilities across Gallatin County have endured a lot over the last 9 months. And on a press conference call on Friday with the Gallatin City County Health Department, the Gallatin Rest Homes administrator made a plea for the community's help.
You have to think of what it would be like to not be able to hug or kiss your husband, your wife, your daughter, your son for 9 months.
In an emotional account from Gallatin Rest Homes administrator Darcel Vaughn, she told reporters on Friday what it's been like being locked down since March 13th. There have been 23 cases of COVID-19 at the rest home, including 15 staff members and 8 residents.
We were able to keep COVID out of the building until our first, positive staff case, which happened on the 26th of October. Our first resident case didn't happen until the 2nd of November.
Vaughn said there were a handful of asymptomatic cases and one hospitalization that resulted in the death of a resident.
We have started testing all of our staff at the beginning of every shift. Besides doing the screening for the temperatures and symptoms, the county is awesome in that our staff knows that we don't want them here if they're sick.
She asked the community to help look out for one another during the challenging times.
I know that there are those people that don't believe this is an issue. They don't believe that they should be told by the government what they should or shouldn't be doing. I understand that. But if you can't wear a mask and keep your social distance and do the right thing for yourself, could you please do it for our elderly?
Reporting in Bozeman, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
Now, as of Friday, December 4th, there have been 17 COVID-19 related deaths associated with rest homes at assisted living facilities in Gallatin County.
Well, now at that same press conference on Friday, Gallatin City County Health Officer Matt Kelly told reporters the testing turnaround time has gone down. Median number of days to report on a test in Gallatin County was around 5 days. Now it's at 2 days. Kelly said this is likely because the Thanksgiving holiday gave the testing system time to recover. The Gallatin City County Health Department says the number of hospitalizations due to COVID-19 as of last Friday were also down slightly.
Well, as for the numbers, Fergus County reporting the only death in Montana last evening. That brings Montana's death toll to 765. Health officials across Montana report more than 900 new cases, and we are seeing a hike of nearly 400 new active cases, now holding at just more than 16,000. The latest report shows 475 people in the hospital. Looking locally across the map at current active numbers, Gallatin County has 518 of those 16,000 plus active cases. Silverboe County, 300 active cases. Madison County, 42 active. Deer Lodge, 33.
In other Treasure State headlines this morning, one woman is dead with a man in custody after what Billings police are calling a homicide this morning. Shooting occurred at 5:01 in the morning west of downtown, according to Billings Police Department Twitter post. 17-year-old female was killed, and police have arrested a 17-year-old male who is currently being held in youth services. Detectives were on scene for several hours after the incident, but had cleared it out by noon. Again, this was from yesterday. The investigation is ongoing, though police did say there is no remaining threat to the public.
A Great Falls woman is continuing her effort to end human trafficking. Chelsea Lampier was preparing for the first meeting of her newly formed group to raise awareness about the issue last week. MTN's Coulter Onstock caught up with her as she held her first walk.
All right, let's go, bud.
With a banner in her hand and her family in tow, Chelsea Lampier walked along the sidewalk on 10th Avenue South in Great Falls Saturday morning.
What we hope to accomplish today is just spreading awareness about human trafficking and really put it out there, because a lot of people don't know about it because it's not on mainstream media. So we just hope to get the words out there and let them know about it, and hopefully more of the community will come around asking questions.
Lampier recently moved to Great Falls from Oregon, where she was involved in events to help end human trafficking. When she realized there are no groups locally dealing specifically with human trafficking, she created a group called Solid Ground. Her passion stems from her personal experience with human trafficking.
My sign is my official sign, and it just says end human trafficking. And then we have signs that my children and I have made.
The Montana Department of Justice cites studies estimating global profits from forced labor to be $150 billion a year, with an estimated 57,700 people in modern-day slavery in the U.S. While no one showed up to participate in Saturday's walk, Lampier isn't discouraged.
We had a lot of walks in Oregon. In fact, One's Purpose and Hope Ranch Ministries in Oregon is really what sparked off my wanting to get the word out there, because their groups are getting pretty large and in charge, and so we're hoping to branch off and really spread awareness across the United States.
In Great Falls, Coulter Onstock, MTN News.
6:36 now. As the cases of coronavirus continue to intensify, one question is, when will there be a vaccine, and what steps need to happen before you or your loved ones can get it?
Our Joe St. George is in Washington with the key dates and information you need to know and be on the lookout for.
Press releases and studies from pharmaceutical companies like Moderna and Pfizer are giving hope that a vaccine may soon be on the horizon. So when will a vaccine actually be available to you? Well, circle your calendars now. On December 10th, the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, will hold a public meeting on Pfizer's vaccine. On December 17th, they will hold a hearing on Moderna's vaccine.
The FDA hearings are being conducted by what's known as the Vaccines and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee, and they could issue approval within 72 hours of the hearing taking place. But that is just the beginning.
Once the FDA signs off, then the CDC will have to finalize who should be prioritized for vaccination. This week, a CDC advisory group said healthcare workers and nursing home residents should be the first. After the CDC, governors and mayors will, according to the Department of Health and Human Services, act as air traffic controllers, ordering which individuals at which facility should get the vaccine. If the current timeline holds, those orders will start going out around December 11th or December 12th. But the hardest part will likely be just getting the vaccine to its destination. While flights are already taking off around the country, better positioning the vaccine for distribution, vaccines require refrigeration. Moderna's vaccine can be stored in normal refrigerators around 40 degrees or so, but Pfizer's vaccine needs to be kept at negative 94 degrees Fahrenheit during shipment, which might be difficult in some rural areas. Because the government is determining who gets the vaccine first, it's not something that can be bought by those who are wealthy.
However, if you aren't deemed someone at high risk worthy of getting the vaccine first, it will still likely be several months before you can go to the pharmacy and receive one, likely in the spring or early summer.
All the science in the world is not going to matter if we can't get people to be immunized against COVID.
Dr. John Brownstein, though, of Boston Children's Hospital, says the looming question is, will Americans actually want to get the vaccine first, which requires 2 doses. Presidents Bush, Clinton, and Obama committing to getting the vaccine on television to inspire confidence. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Well, the holiday season is fast approaching, and if you're planning to treat your loved ones to a handcrafted gift, now is the time to get started to ensure it arrives on time.
Always a good idea. CNET's Kara Suboy reports on websites and services that can help you deliver the perfect personalized present.
I love giving and getting personalized gifts. No matter how crafty you are, there's a way to create treasures for everyone on your list. Spoonflower is an incredible website where you can buy fabric, wallpaper, and wrapping paper in patterns designed by graphic artists from all over the world. Use those materials to create something unique. But another neat feature is the ability to create tea towels from your own custom artwork. Upload a file, say of a handwritten family recipe, print it on a 1/4 yard of cotton, and then hem the edges to make an incredible, heartfelt gift. Tutorials can be found at spoonflower.com. When it comes to parents, grandparents, and other close family members, you can't go wrong with photo gifts. I love making custom photo mugs at shutterfly.com, puzzles on Zazzle.com, and photo books and calendars through Memeo. If you're looking to learn a craft for next year's gifting season, check out craftsy.com. The site boasts over 1,500 classes taught by professionals in subjects ranging from sewing to painting to cooking. Membership starts at $8 a month or $80 a year. And finally, if you're not crafty yourself but want to give a homemade gift, Etsy is the place to shop. Find all sorts of incredible handmade and personalized gifts for everyone on your list. It's also a great way to support independent artists and small businesses. For more gift guides, visit cnet.com. I'm Kara Suboy with CNET for CBS News.
I love a handmade gift.
That's awesome.
I truly do.
I love the idea of the postcards or the recipes printed on big quilts or blankets.
Yep.
True story, I made all of my family's gifts last year.
Oh, nice for
and
you.
given the shipping cost from Montana to Missouri, they're not going to get them again this
No,
year.
I understand that.
So
yeah.
I hope they enjoy them.
That's awesome.
But
Good for
that's
you.
very cool.
Good for you.
Well, when Montana This Morning returns, new technology might one day be able to restore vision to some, thanks to a small implant in the brain. We have the details.
But first, we have the details of what's ahead on CBS This Morning.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, more than 30 million people in the U.S. are on lockdown to combat the skyrocketing number of coronavirus cases. We'll show you the dire impact the virus is having on businesses and hospitals around the country. Also, President Trump pushes Georgia officials to help him overturn the election results. We'll talk with Georgia's Republican lieutenant governor, who says it's clear the president lost the state. And Cyndi Lauper has raised millions for homeless LGBTQ youth through her annual concert, Home for the Holidays. Only on CBS This Morning, the award-winning musician announces her star-studded lineup for this year's virtual event, and it's an impressive one. We'll see you all at 7.